The Saga of Tanya the Evil is a little gem that came out back in 2017. It's an isekai about a dude that gets reincarnated as a little girl in a world that has magic and is still in the world at War One. And so the character, once they find out, she has a lot of magic capacity, she decides that, okay, if I can climb up the ranks of the military, then I can secure a good future for myself. And that is like the main core concept of this story. And basically throughout the season, you're gonna see him slash her fighting to get to a position where it's safe, where they're not risking their lives. And the other thing, main thing, is the whole fighting God idea. And I'll get to that very soon, but I'm gonna talk about other things in the meantime while I get to that, because that's the main problem with this story. It is one of the most interesting parts of it, but one of the most stupid parts as well, and I'll get to that soon enough. One of the highlights I found about this anime is the fact that the strategies were very well done. They're easy to follow, and that is a big highlight in an anime like this about war and the military. If you can easily follow the strategies that they're doing, it makes sense in your mind that what they're doing actually, makes total sense. It's not just made up bullshit, then that is a big highlight for this anime. The other thing is, one of my biggest complaints about this anime is the fact that they do not commit to Tanya being evil. What do I mean by this? Especially by people who have seen this anime before, you're gonna start mentioning, oh, she literally sends people to their deaths, and she manipulates her competition so that she can get higher positions in the military. And I would say yes, although that is shown to happen, it is very inconsistent. That it's only shown once and it never happens again. It is big inconsistency. A big part of that is, for example, her assistant, who is literally one of the main other characters beside her that are going to be there for literally the entirety of the show. At first fears her for good reasons, and if you watch the show, you're going to know why. But literally, it is dropped like almost immediately. Her assistant just for some reason stops fearing her. It doesn't make sense. It's like they show Tanya being evil once, then they don't repeat that over and over, because she would, if she manipulated one dude that was her competition in order to get that higher in the ranks, why is she not manipulating the rest of other people that are her competition as she keeps going up? It is only shown once. Her assistant just fears her at first, but then for no reason. It's not like Tanya did anything to make her happy or make her not fear her anymore. It doesn't make sense, the fact that, yeah, she just doesn't fear her anymore. I remember there's a moment in the anime where Tanya gives her, like, or okay, I'm gonna change your role, you're gonna do this now. And then she literally asks, like, I'm not gonna die doing this, right? And then Tanya says, no, that's not gonna happen. And this basically explains that was like the pinnacle of her fearing Tanya. After that, it's like just dropped in its entirety. She doesn't ever ask Tanya, like, or worry, basically have her thinking, oh shit, like, am I gonna die if I do this? Because this bitch already sent two other people to their deaths, and my life ain't shit to her, so I could be in danger. But it's just dropped entirely. It doesn't make any sense. And so some of her evil acts just aren't actually evil. Basically, in her first mission, where she's supposed to be looking out, she kills all these other guys. But basically, it was in self-defense, because she was looking out, and all of a sudden she gets attacked by the enemy platoon, And she asked, her base, oh, can I retreat? And she says, no, we can't afford that. And so what other choice did she have but to kill these people? So it was basically in self-defense. After that, she's shown abusing what would be her future platoon. I'm not going to go into details about it, but basically she abuses them to get out of being sent into the front lines with those people who she is training now on a suicide mission. And you would think that, oh, she's evil, she abuses people, but really it's shown that yes, she is kind of a piece of shit, but she's not evil because she's doing it for a reason. She doesn't want to go die. So indirectly, she's not only saving herself, she's saving all these other people who she is training, because they are literally going to be sent into the front fucking lines to get shot at and die, which most of her platoon actually, mainly most of the side characters that nobody cares and they're basically background characters, just die like flies. But and like it's just they were going to die. It was a suicide mission, so it just makes sense that she did not want to go there. And by her protecting, herself, she's also protecting them at the same time. So it's not really, you can't really see that as an evil act. I feel like if they just dropped the whole narcissistic thing about her and focused about her being at first kind of rough because she wants to like get to the higher echelons of, and status of the military, but then as she has all these experiences with these other people, she starts becoming a softie and feels for them and has empathy for them will be more convenient than the whole narcissistic thing, because they pick it up and then they drop it again. And that's just like the pattern that keeps repeating throughout this whole anime. It gets picked up and then dropped again. If you're gonna do the whole narcissistic thing, you have to commit to it. And look, I can tell you, narcissistic characters aren't that good. The only exception is that if they're fucking funny or they have like this good and fucking intelligence or whatever, that it's just a good combination of intelligence and being funny, which is literally Dr. House. But they're not doing that here. She's not that funny, and yes, she comes up with good strategies, but they're not Dr. House levels of, hey, I can diagnose you by just looking at you, stupid, but whatever, right? It's a show, you have to let it go sometimes. But I understand why they didn't do the whole narcissistic thing. It's because narcissistic characters are just not compelling. And so if they committed to it, people would hate the main character and they would stop watching the show. So it would have been better if she started off being a piece of shit and then slowly became a softie while she had all these life literally threatening moments with all these other people who basically end up becoming like her family. That would be more compelling than the whole narcissistic angle, which is complete and utter garbage, if I'm being honest with you. Another thing that I wrote here, very important note that I made, is that halfway through the season, they dropped the whole narcissistic gimmick. And it is the most apparent when the one character that hated her the most stops hating her. He literally stops hating on her. And you don't see any passive aggressiveness, any reluctancy to talk to her, or just anything that shows that he hates her. It's entirely dropped, like I've been saying. The whole narcissistic gimmick has been fucking dropped, and it shouldn't have been there in the first place. The whole show shouldn't be called Tanya, the Saga of Tanya the Evil, because she's not evil. She's just making good decisions because she doesn't want to die, and by in turn, she's also saving other people because they would have died if she goes into the front lines, in which she does, and people then die, and You know, it's just when you really analyze it, when you're trying to rationalize all these decisions that she was making, when you start to understand what the fuck was actually going on in the anime, you start understanding that she's not really evil. This is the second time I've watched this because I watched it back in 2017 when it came out. And at that time, I thought she was evil, but now that I saw it again, now I'm like, no, she's not evil at all. Like, none of this shit makes any fucking sense. Like, it's just dumb. They should have dropped the whole narcissistic thing from the start. But I get why it was there because I believe. I mean, I read for the first few pages of the first volume of the novel, and there she is shown to be very evil, very narcissistic, very piece of shit person. But I understand why they toned that down in the anime. Ain't nobody going to like a piece of shit narcissistic character unless it, she is fucking funny or has something that is intriguing. Tanya doesn't have any of that. She's just being narcissistic for the sake of it, and it honestly takes away from her character. And I keep repeating it. If she had been a piece of shit at the start, but then came around later on, it would have been significantly better. And it would have brought Tanya, the Saga of Tanya the Evil, to a whole other level. It would have made it significantly better. Another big problem I have with this anime is the fact that why the fuck are other people's eyes glowing? Tanya was literally blessed by God to have superpowers. So her eyes start glowing because of that. It is literally shown that way. Her eyes don't glow before she's using magic. They only start glowing when she gets blessed by God. And so why the fuck are both her allies and her enemies eyes glowing? Are they blessed by God? What the fuck is, and I'm not even talking about main characters. I'm talking about secondary characters that don't matter. You barely get to see them on screen. Why are their eyes glowing? It takes away from how special it is to get blessed by God, because I feel like it would have been better if just Tanya and her main enemies got blessed by God, and so they had this really big power because of it. It would make sense because the whole story actually has a big chunk of it is just Tanya fighting against God. And so you have Tanya, who was blessed by God, given this power, but was totally ungrateful and doesn't want to believe in God, even though it makes no fucking sense, because she literally sees him. She literally sees him in the first fucking episode, and she keeps seeing him throughout the whole season. And it doesn't make sense. Even if you're a non-believer and you're literally talking to God himself, how the fuck are you not gonna believe at that point? Because the whole point of people who don't believe in God is because they don't see evidence. In this case, there is the literal sense of she saw evidence with her own fucking eyes. I could understand if she was blind and she didn't believe them. Because she'd be like, well, I can't actually see you. But even then, it's God. God could probably fix her eyesight and be like, bitch, I'm God. Can't you see I'm doing all this shit only God could do? And it's just, what? And Tanya calls them being X for some fucking reason. And I'm out here like, bitch, like, if I see somebody doing that, I'll be like, yeah, that's God. Because ain't nobody gonna be doing that. Science can't explain the shit this man has been doing. I don't know. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And so when you add other people having God's blessing, which is what I think the Going Eyes is, to random side characters that don't matter, what the fuck is the point? When you actually get the main characters, the main villains for Tanya, and their eyes glow, and they actually been blessed by God, which is another thing. Those main characters have actually, main villains, have actually been blessed by God himself to be like a trial for Tanya. It takes away from the moment, because everybody, side characters that you don't give a shit about, their eyes were also glowing, and it's just dumb. Not only her enemies, but also her fucking allies, characters that you barely see on screen, their eyes also glowed. It's dumb. It just takes away from from the experience. It's just stupid. I don't know who the fuck thought that was a good idea. Hello there, guys. It's Future Editing Me. I realized that this video is going to be long because I'm not doing not only a review of Tanya the Evil, I'm doing a review of the movie as well. And so I've yet to get through half of my notes. And so I think I'm gonna have to make a second part. And I definitely have to apologize. I didn't have this in mind. I didn't take it into consideration, but I'm gonna upload the second part. Depends if I'm able to get it done by maybe tomorrow or the next day. That'd be cool. I'm gonna try not to take too long, but I'll see. If not, I'll do it within a week. I do apologize for all the background noise. I already got the feedback that my voice, the sound doesn't really sound as good. I'm trying to see how I can make this work because I'm doing everything off of my iPad. I don't really have a computer, so most of what you see here is just me editing stuff on LumaFusion. And so it doesn't really come out the best ever, it's not the best thing ever, but, I am trying my best. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next time. Peace.